Hello, traveler. Have you ever had that sensation that certain people simply don't respect your boundaries? It doesn't matter how much you give in, how much you compromise, how much you bend. They always want more attention, more energy, more control over you, over your time, over your life. And when you finally try to stand up for yourself, to assert your needs, that is when the attack comes. The emotional blackmail, the punishing silence, sometimes even physical aggression. If this is happening to you, if this pattern feels familiar, you might be dealing with someone who has strong narcissistic traits, and recognizing this is the first step toward protecting yourself. And that brings us to today's lesson. I am going to show you 4 simple phrases, but incredibly powerful phrases. These are phrases that narcissists absolutely hate to hear. And it is not because they're offensive. It is not because they're rude or cruel. It is because these phrases demand respect, impose boundaries, and take away the emotional power that narcissists love to exercise over others. So let's dive in. The first phrase is this: I don't have time for this. This phrase seems simple on the surface, doesn't it? Almost dismissive. But for someone who is narcissistic, this phrase is like a nuclear explosion. And why? Because it immediately blocks manipulation at the source, right at the starting gate. Narcissistic people believe they have a right to your time, to your attention, and even to your emotions. They operate from this unspoken assumption that you exist for them, that your schedule should revolve around their needs. And they use specific tactics to ensure this happens. Endless discussions that go in circles, conversations that loop back on themselves over and over, provocations designed to hook you emotionally, and manufactured drama to drain your energy, to keep you engaged and exhausted. So when you say, I don't have time for this, you are placing a clear and objective boundary. You are drawing a line in the sand. You avoid getting trapped in endless justifications, in explaining and defending and proving why you can't or won't engage. You shut down the emotional manipulation before it even begins, before they can sink their hooks into you. And what are the possible attacks that might come after this phrase? The person might call you rude, might say you are being cold or uncaring. They might say you shouldn't be so busy, that you need to have more free time, that if you really cared you would make time. And here is what you do. You pretend you didn't hear it. You don't engage with the bait. You just continue with your life. Simple as that. The second phrase is even more powerful. I don't want to do this. Notice what this phrase brings to the table. Something that narcissists absolutely hate. Your own will, your own desires, your own agency. Narcissistic people operate from a basic principle, a foundational belief that you exist to serve them, to satisfy them, to validate them and their view of themselves. You are not a separate person with your own needs and wants. You are an extension of them, a tool to be used. When you say you don't want something, you are asserting your autonomy. You are claiming your right to choose. And this, for a narcissist, is intolerable. It is almost incomprehensible to them, because this phrase breaks the alienating control that narcissists try to exercise over everyone in their orbit. It exposes the fact that you are not available to fulfill their expectations, that you won't automatically comply with their agenda. It shows that you prioritize yourself, your own needs and preferences. And narcissists hate this. They hate it because it reminds them they don't actually control you, no matter how much they believe they should. And of course, they're going to try to drag you into guilt. They're going to try to make you justify, explain, defend your position. They'll say things like, what do you mean you don't want to? That is selfish, you know? Or they might say, you've changed so much lately. You never used to be like this. What happened to you? They'll try to make your autonomy sound like a character flaw, like something's wrong with you for having preferences, and you can simply respond, I don't want to, and I am not going to do it. Can we move on? You don't need to debate, you don't need to justify. Your no is a complete sentence. The third phrase is this: I can't take that on. Notice what this phrase does. It shuts off the faucet of exploitation. It stops the flow of them dumping their responsibilities onto you. Because narcissists are absolute specialists in transferring their responsibilities to others, whether those responsibilities are financial, emotional, familial, professional, or otherwise. They don't ask, they don't request, they demand and expect that you'll assume what belongs to them, what should be their burden to carry. They use strategies designed to make you feel responsible for them, for their choices, for their consequences, for their happiness. But when you say, I can't take that on, you are returning the problem to its rightful owner. You are refusing to carry what isn't yours to carry. And you can use this phrase in various situations. For financial matters, when they want you to pay for something, to fund their whims or cover their expenses. For emotional situations, when they expect you to absorb their rage explosions, their emotional blackmail, their constant drama, and for other circumstances, like when they push their decisions, their problems, their guilt onto you, things that were never your responsibility in the first place. This phrase creates a boundary around your resources, around your capacity, around what you are willing to shoulder. And narcissists hate it because they've built their life around getting others to carry their weight. Fourth phrase, here we go. I don't feel comfortable doing this. This phrase is the definitive emotional weapon, the ultimate boundary statement, because it removes from the narcissistic person the greatest manipulation tool they possess, which is precisely their ability to invalidate what you feel, to tell you your emotions don't matter or don't make sense. Narcissists hate other people's emotions, especially when those emotions challenge what they want, when feelings get in the way of their agenda. So they try to minimize your experience. They say things like, you are exaggerating. This is just your drama. You are too sensitive. You are making a big deal out of nothing. They try to convince you that your feelings aren't real or aren't valid. But here is something that is crystal clear. Every healthy boundary begins with emotion. It starts when we feel uncomfortable with something, when something doesn't sit right with us, when our gut tells us this is wrong. And when you say, I don't feel comfortable doing this, you are placing your emotional integrity as a priority. You are honoring your internal warning system. This is what we call in psychotherapy a protective emotional boundary. It prevents you from accepting participation in something that goes against your inner peace, your values, your well-being. It is a shield against self-betrayal. And understand this deeply. Your feelings cannot be debated with narcissists. Don't even try to debate them. Don't get pulled into arguments about whether your feelings are legitimate or not. Because what you feel, that is your internal reality. That is your truth. And that is the end of the discussion. Period. Your emotions are data. They're information about your experience. And no one else gets to tell you that information is wrong or invalid. When you feel uncomfortable, that discomfort is real. It is signaling something important, and you don't owe anyone an explanation for honoring that signal. So if there is one thing you need to take away from this video, it is this: boundaries are not aggression. Boundaries are respect. Narcissists don't hate these phrases because they're offensive or mean-spirited. They hate them because these phrases liberate you. They hate them because boundaries remove you from their control, and control is what they crave most. When you say, I don't have time for this, when you say, I don't want to do this, when you say, I can't take that on, or when you say, I don't feel comfortable doing this, you are honoring your personal space. You are reclaiming your agency. You are choosing yourself over their demands. Because all freedom, every bit of liberation, begins with a decision. The decision to choose yourself, to prioritize your peace over their comfort, to protect your energy over feeding their need for control. And if someone becomes irritated, if someone becomes angry or vindictive because you respect yourself, because you set boundaries, that person has already shown you who they are. They've revealed their true nature. They've told you that they valued having power over you more than they valued your well-being. Believe them when they show you this. So remember this. Sometimes freedom begins with just one simple phrase, one clear statement, and one firm attitude. That is all it takes. You don't need elaborate explanations. You don't need to convince or persuade. You just need to state your boundary and hold it. These 4 phrases are tools. They're keys that unlock the cage narcissists try to build around you. Use them, practice them, say them out loud until they feel natural, until they flow easily from your mouth. Because the more comfortable you become with these boundaries, the more you'll notice manipulative behavior attempting to cross them, and the stronger you'll become at defending your peace. Your time belongs to you, your will belongs to you, your capacity belongs to you, your comfort belongs to you. And no one, no matter how charming, no matter how convincing, no matter how much they try to make you feel guilty, has the right to take those things from you without your consent. Stay safe, traveler. I'll see you on our next journey.